So I've decided to try to do a couple sets in this clearing. It will be aimed, more for fox. They'll catch coon, they'll catch, obviously they'll catch bobcat. That's a good spot for bobcat. Probably not as much coyote, it's too pinched in, but you never know. So I'm going to use this stump as kind of a backing. It's a little fur back. I don't need a lot of backing. I'm going to use that stump for some. I'm going to build a trap right there. We're going to go from there and see if I can make something happen that makes sense to y'all. Okay, let's try this. I see why these pro guys have camera crews. So I got me a rough bed dug out for a 1 3/4 bridger. I always just set the trap ahead of time. I've already checked these at the house. I like the way they work. I'll set my night latch. Night latch set. Now, get it close to where I want for size. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just close enough I know it'll fit in that little hole, okay? Gonna drive a hole for my standard Berkshire anchor. I pre-drive my holes first, so I don't have as many issues with them. If you try driving in this ground without having a hole first, you'll straighten it out, you'll make a mess. I think that's where most people have problems with them. That's some solid ground too. This is what wears you out as much, wears me out. And yeah, I've done a T-handle, it gets in the way. You spin that, it'll come back out. Okay. Use about an 8 or 9 inch cable on my anchor. I don't find a need for any more than that, even for coyotes. I keep longer ones with me just in case. Sometimes you get some loose soil, but mostly not. I won't even use all that cable. Again, when I set the anchor, I don't pull straight up. I pull out, because that's where the animal will pull. You'll set that anchor, will set a lot better that way. Okay? Now I'm going to make the hole fit my trap. First I'm going to do is I'm going to pound out where I want my levers to set. That helps me set my depth, which I have some roots here that are going to set my depth anyway. Okay? I know I'm going to have to trim its hole up some. Make sure my fit's good before I get too far in the game. Gonna be pretty good. Open this hole up just a little bit. Just barely. No point making it too big. I'm gonna leave all that loose dirt there because I'm gonna put some more in on top of it. Now I have dirt from right here at the set. It's just good and moist. It's not too wet. I'm going to use the dirt from right here as much as possible. Okay? So, before I put the trap in, a liberal sprinkling of calcium chloride. Keep the trap from freezing. Because it's going to rain or snow or something while this trap's in the ground. Now, I got some cable and chain to worry about. I'm not going to worry about it too much because it will pound into that dirt eventually. I hit it hard enough, it'll get in that dirt. Actually, I use that, get ahead of myself, I'll use that swivel, that mid-chain swivel, I'll use it to bed that jaw on. Most of the time, if it'll sit there, I will bed that jaw on that swivel, mash that in, and that is solid. And we're solid, guys. We're already solid. No tip. So I'm going to work dirt in from the edges. Not getting inside the jaws yet because this isn't sifted dirt. If there's a rock or an acorn or something here that could screw me up, I don't want it inside that trap. Make sense? You cannot believe the troubles that a very small rock will cause you when it comes to keeping them jaws from closing all the way. And the jaws don't close all the way, that's no animal. it ain't gonna happen. Working and holding a trap with one hand, working that dirt in with the other. I'm almost thinking a helmet cam would do this. I'd be bobbing around and make everybody dizzy though, so probably not. Okay, so we're kind of getting this done. We're in there pretty good. Guess what that means? Another layer of antifreeze. If you layer that stuff in, you will not have traps freeze unless you get a flood. You get a flood, you got to rebuild the set anyway. Okay, I'm going to sifter now. I'm going to use some of this dirt off to the side. And I take another scrape of dirt from over here just 10 foot away. Because you'll never have enough. So I took a couple shovelfuls, just a top inch or so. Plenty dry. Now, there we go. Now, a lot of guys kind of quit right there. I see people all the time would take that trap and kind of blend that in and call that good. And they catch critters. The peat moss guys, that seems to be the way they do it. I don't do it that way. The way I do it is I find my pan. That's because that's where it all happens at, right there. And I'm going to bed this thing in tight around that pan. Everything but the pan's getting dirt. And I'm putting it in pretty tight. Again, I had some pan tension. This trap's only got a couple pounds because it's a fox trap. But I'm not going to push down 2 pounds. Okay? Now, what I've got is that pan's in there, the trap's in there solid. It's not moving, and the pan is the lowest spot in the set. Again, another layer. Cheap antifreeze, calcium chloride. I get it by the bag at Menards. We call it Maynard's, but people make fun of me when I say Maynard's. Okay. Before I go any further, I'm going to decide what kind of set this is going to be. The stump back here may make it difficult, my backing, but I'm going to try to make this a double dirt hole. Being it's for fox, bobcat, I'm going to go back 3 or 4 inches into one side. I'm not going to be back here like I would for a coyote. See if I can get a couple holes in. We'll do 2 holes, 10 and 2 o'clock. I don't have a dirt hole tool or nothing like that. I use my stake driver. Work it in. Do a circular thing. Oh, about 6 inches deep on that one. I'm going to go over here to 2 o'clock. And I'll put a little bit, maybe a bigger hole or a different angle hole. Kind of make a bigger hole, a little more eye appeal. Now, I hope that's showing up good enough. But take that dirt and get rid of it. I'm going to make it go towards the bed. Looks like something been digging there, right? So I've already kind of covered my pan up just doing that. I'm going to leave it ugly and chunky like that. That's the way it would look if an animal was really digging there, right? So, I got my set made. My kill zone is right here. 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock on my holes. One's a little closer to the trap, one's a little further away. This one is more of an angle, this one's more straight up and down. Several angles for an animal have to work if you can get to those holes, okay? So, before I finish the set out, I have a loose jaw. The jaw is not loaded, it's right here. I do not want an animal to step on that loose jaw at the same time he steps on that pan. If he steps on a loose jaw and a pan at the same time, it will fling his paw out. That's where you get a lot of toe catches or no catch at all. So, everywhere I look is something to cover that up with. I'm going to reach over here, Hank, and use a piece of bark or a chunk of wood here. Yep. Let me use this. There's my loose jaw. I can see the edge of my pan's right. That's how come knowing where that's important. There's the edge of my pan. It means my loose jaw is there. I'm just going to mash that in. He's not going to step there now. I'll put a couple sticks to the side. I want him to go across, cutting in 45 into the wind like a predator does. The wind's going to go to the north the next day or two. Hopefully I can get him to make that step and work out, okay? So, a final coating of dirt. Don't need much dirt over that pan for a fox set. You don't. That's all I need right there. So there's less than 1/8 of an inch dirt over that pan. That's fine for fox, fine for bobcat. This will be a great coon set. One more coat of calcium chloride. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle way out here. Because when this finally melts and turns wet, the ground will turn wet everywhere. And I'll have a pathway will then be built in to this set. Man, I hope that makes sense to people. I'm going to do a very little of guarding. I'll show in a minute. Just to kind of keep him focalized. I like that focalized word, don't I? Towards them holes. Okay? So we're going to bait and lure the holes. I'll decide what to do in a second. And that is my first fox set. Another note before I finish this out. There's it'll be a walkthrough. Everything I make is a walkthrough kind of set. That calcium chloride will make a wet path. Stump's a little bit fur back, but I don't need stuff right on the back of it. 2 holes, 10 and 2. I kneel on these feed bags. They're kind of plastic feed bag. Keep you dry, keep your scent off the ground. Easy to fold up and pack with you. Something else I keep with me in my bucket, besides my hammers and my methods of mass destruction, I keep a whisk broom. Boy, they got expensive. And I will whisk out a path to a lot of sets. Okay? Make it to where he has that clean entryway to get in there. Now I know it's not a perfectly symmetrical set. I don't care. Because this here could be over. It don't matter. We're not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to get an animal step across that pan, these holes. I put a little bit of a guard stick right here. It's not a big deal. The wind will be our biggest help when it comes time for this set to work.